Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Northwest Liberty News. Picking the lock on the shackles of tyranny.
Machines are gonna fail. And the system's gonna fail.
The past is past, the future's now.
Don't look at me. I think these people are completely nuts.
Sometimes trouble just follows a man.
There is another organism on this planet that follows the same pattern. Do you know what it is? A virus.
Can't you stop your lips from flapping for 2 little minutes? It's because I'm white. I'm a man. I'm sensitive. I need to feel loved. I need to be desired. I'm rapidly becoming a big underground success in this town.
That's a question of methods. Everybody wants results, but nobody wants to do what they have to do to get them done.
And now, coming to you live from Kalispell, Montana, brought to you by Northwest Liberty News, it's Montana Gazette Radio with your host, James White. Okay, I'm your host, James White. This is Montana Gazette Radio. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the broadcast. It is the 29th day of March 2021, and the year is just ticking by, as they all do, as fast as the more faster than we can even keep up with it, to me anyway. We do appreciate you joining us here today on the broadcast. If everything's working properly, we should be simulcasting live on multiple platforms here. Twitch, see what we got here. We got Twitch, we have LinkedIn, Daily Motion, a couple of Facebook channels, YouTube. My main YouTube channel, as you may or may not know from seeing the previous broadcast, they've kicked me off again for another 2 weeks because I'm speaking truth. So that's the world we're living in. It's okay. All of my my videos are uploaded on Rumble anyway, so you can go there and check out. If you missed any of the YouTube videos, you can go to Rumble and get those videos. Also, if you want to catch the show live on audio, the Blog Talk feed is fed live through MontanaGazetteRadio.com. That's MontanaGazetteRadio.com. Okay, we're joined today by Sue Holland from Fourth Angels Ministry. I think maybe, did I get that right? Maybe I did. We'll have her correct me if I'm wrong on that. But Sue, we had a mutual friend that reached out to me, said Sue needed to really get on the show to talk about the imprisonment of her friend Mike Parsons and everything that's going on with that, and I think his wife as well. And it's quite a tale, folks. And I'm just delighted to have Sue here on the show today to talk about it. Yes, Fourth Angels Message Ministry, and let me take her off of mute. There we go. Sue, maybe it's asking you to unmute. Do you have a message there that's checking, asking you? There you go. There you go. Sue, thanks so much for joining us here today on the broadcast. We do appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come on the show.
Good morning, James, and hello to all the listeners of yours. And it's just such a privilege to be here and to talk about my good friend and colleague, Mike Parsons. And yes, it is true. He has been through, and his wife has been through, just enormous amounts of atrocities. Both Mike and his wife, Patricia, are engineers. They are such wonderful, kind Christian people. They were always there in my life, helping me whenever I needed help. So I'm just so privileged to talk about them and to let your listeners know their plight today.
Well, before we get there, Sue, if we could, yes. Just because it's your first time on the broadcast, and people, perhaps may not be familiar with your work. I know you've got a YouTube channel with your Fourth Angels Message Ministry, but why don't you kind of just sort of lay a foundation before we go further? Why don't you just give us a little bit of background on yourself, Sue, and let us know, how you got sort of involved, and bring us up to where we're at now. Over to you, Sue.
Yes. I have a background in sciences and law, in early childhood education, and that's how I started working for a native nation called the Chilcotin or Tsilcotin, and I started working for the Chilcotin National Congress, which is the hereditary government of the Chilcotin people. It's located in about central British Columbia. And so I started working for these people when I realized that children were being abused in foster homes. I had no idea to what extent at the time. I had been operating the largest daycare in Williams Lake with multiple facilities, with multiple employees at the time. But when I started working to advocate for Native children and their rights, then long story short, they shut me down. They stripped me of my license to practice. So around that time, when I started working for the Chilcotin National Congress, they appointed me in several positions. It was around late 2015 when Mike Parsons had heard me speak on the Alex Jones show. They let me speak for about 3 minutes, and it was at that point in time that people were able to contact me, and Mike Parsons was one of them. He told me of his interest in helping Native people. He is a Cherokee Indian himself, so he has lots of knowledge about Native rights and sovereignty rights, but also was involved with trying to advocate for Native and non-Native parents and their rights as well. And if a person looks at mikeparsons.org, his website shows where he has an article that he had written at the time. It's called Current Threat to Parental Rights, the United Nations' Conventions on the Rights of the Child Treaty. And so he outlines back, I think it was around 2006, 2007. It could be earlier than that, but it was at that point in time that he was advocating for parental rights. And he actually ran for election in the United States in Tipton County, Tennessee. And there were election fraud going on when he had won the election, and then they flipped the votes the next day. And so then Mike Parsons had tried to sue, and he challenged the election results. At that point in time, he and his wife were set up by the deep state activities. Long story short, he was falsely charged for making a citizen's arrest, and we all know citizen's arrests go on every day. They're perfectly valid and legal. However, they again flipped that to charge him with bogus charges when he was the one who was trying to stop the shooter from shooting at him and his wife, who eventually killed their pet right in front of them. The bullets were flying past both he and his wife, and unfortunately from behind had shot the dog as the dog was running away from the shooter, running towards Mike. The dog had bullets in his back, and so the dog obviously was not running towards the shooter or in any way aggressive to the shooter, but the shooter was shooting on their property. And that's plain and obvious. If a shooter shoots at you on your own property, that is not the fault of the person who owned the property. It is actually a crime. You cannot shoot into someone else's property, especially not at the people who live there. That is a huge crime. However, the shooter was never charged. It was Mike Parsons who was charged for trying to stop the shooter and conducting a citizen's arrest. So these charges were just bogus from the get-go. They have villainized Mike Parsons and his wife over and over again, repeatedly throughout the years, with various different kinds of smear campaigns that the FBI had conducted. The latest, so after I had gotten to know the Parsonses, I was able to put them together with the Chilcotin National Congress members, and they really appreciated all of Mike's work, his talents. He wears many hats. One of them is he's a pastor. Another one is that he was a talk show host, and he used
You got to watch
have
out for those talk show hosts. I'm telling you that right now.
So, the system did not appreciate Mike exposing the corruptions that were going on, and they were doing everything they could to set him up. This is now the third time that he and his wife have been set up. There's all kinds of slander against them in the media. When a person will Google their names, up will come all kinds of absolute falsehoods about them. And, that's just the system trying to retaliate against the truth. The radio talk show that Mike had was called The Voice of Truth. He has been always such an honest and upright man, and that's why the Chilcotin National Congress appointed him in various positions. One is ambassadorship, and then he was appointed in other positions as well. Both he and his wife were adopted into the nation. I was adopted in the nation as well. I worked very closely with Mike for a whole year in 2016, trying to get their 300 children back who were illegally apprehended.
Wait, this is in Tennessee?
Canada.
Is this in Tennessee? All this happened in Tennessee? Is that correct?
Yes, I have never personally met Mike or his wife, Pat. However, they are very dear friends of mine. I've just gotten to know them by working with them over long distance communications. But I have come to appreciate their honesty, their integrity, their absolute commitment to truth and to justice, and to helping others. No two people you wouldn't find two nicer people in this world, I don't think, and I have a huge respect for them. So they were helping me to help the Chilcotin Nation to try and get their 300 children back, and to be able to expose the corruptions of Canada against this native nation.
Right, and these children are being taken by the equivalent of Child Protective Services or Department of the DPHHS or whatever it's called in your town. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar, Sue, with the work that I do other than the Montana news stuff. Is I have a website called criticaldisclosure.com where I have uncovered just hundreds, perhaps, cases of families having their children taken unlawfully by the Child Protective Services the Department of Interior, DPHHS, whatever, I think they're under the Department of Interior. Whatever your no, they're not. I take that back. But whatever agency they're under, it doesn't really matter. When they take your children unlawfully, it's a crime, and they kidnap them and turn them over into the foster care system, and then God knows what happens to them then. Sometimes, I mean, it's horrific. So what was basically happened is Mike started uncovering these things, and he started exposing them. And then, of course, it sounds like the machine kicked in. After that happened, the machine kicked in, and they went after him and attacked him for trying to expose their crimes. I mean, is that fairly accurate?
That's absolutely correct. So the Child Protection Agency in British Columbia, in Canada, is called the Ministry of Children and Family Development. So the MCFD.
MCFD.
Yes, and so these organizations have they obtain $250,000 per year from an Ottawa fund. There's a huge Native fund in Ottawa because of the Native people having their land taken away, and so there's this Native fund in Ottawa, and the excuse or the pretense that British Columbia uses to siphon millions and millions of dollars out of that fund and have it provided to the British Columbia and all the other provincial governments across Canada. How they siphon the funds is they use the excuse that they are apprehending Native children. And so one child apprehended for an entire year will be able to give Victoria here in the capital of British Columbia $250,000. And the scam that they are doing is for any excuse whatsoever, they will apprehend a child. They actually drive around following Native people and their families, trying to find something that they could pin on these young people.
So they're predators. They're predators. That's what predators do,
Yes.
right? That's what predators do. They I mean, even in the jungle, right? In the wild, they roam around looking for the opportunity to attack the weak and the disabled or whatever you choose, and then of course they go for it. This is a law of the jungle mentality that these people have. Is it like it is in Canada? Is it like it is here in America, where you have a lot of the authorities are in on it? I mean, FBI sometimes are in on it. Local people are in on it. We've had people on the show here where the pastor of the church was in on it. He actually ended up being the pimp that was pimping out, I think, 12 or 13 girls under the age of 16. And of course, the sheriff was in that ring as well, so nothing ever happened to him. Is that the similar type of stuff that goes on there in Canada? I mean, are there authorities, quote unquote, authorities that are involved in this whole kidnapping, child trafficking thing?
Absolutely. The RCMP are legislated to attend the Ministry of Children and Family Development social worker when they apprehend a child and take the child into custody, into control of the state. So the police are in on it. They have to attend. They are used to further the authority and the power of these evil, corrupt organizations. And so I have personally interviewed about 100 of the families of the 300 families that still have, children out in the control of Canada. And I've interviewed them based on my knowledge and expertise as an early childhood educator. I'm trained to know what child abuse looks like. And I'm trained to be able to deal with it. So I interviewed these families, and I can say unequivocally that there was not one case where I thought to myself, well, this child was in danger and should have been taken from the home. And the cases that I had found, for example, were the children were playing in the backyard. The mother was in the kitchen and could see the children through the window, but because, quote unquote, the mother wasn't physically in the yard, that was enough to take the child out of that home. Well, if that was the case, every child in all of North America would be taken away, because I can tell you that children play on playgrounds, they play in the backyards without physically a parent or guardian being in proximity. That happens to everybody at all times, but these people are picked on because they are money makers. They can traffic these children and abuse them to horrific extents. I mean, I've seen, I've heard of, actually one of my interviews, one family had a disabled child. This baby had an illness. The native mother was looking after this native child very, very well. There was no problems. However, because the child was disabled, that gave a veneer of excuse for this ministry to come in and take the child out of the home. They took the child out of the home in 2 weeks, placing this ill child in a foster home. The child was dead. So they perpetrate all kinds of these crimes against these families. To this day, the families have not received justice for the murder of their son. It just so horrific. And other cases, our Grand Chief has told us that their children, when they do get visiting rights, they come back to them limp, and they think they are drugging these children. And I know personally a case that I was involved with very closely where this child was being drugged. And so these kind of things are going on with this horrific, monstrous system.
Well, now the COVID kicked in. I'm not sure if you saw the case here in New York where there was a physician that had taken her daughter to school, and she was picking her daughter up, I believe, from school, and she was standing outside her vehicle waiting for her daughter to come out, and she didn't have a mask. And the health official came up and said, "You have to wear a mask." And she's like, "Well, I'm outside here waiting for my daughter." And apparently they had words. A judge took her child because she wasn't wearing a mask outside when she was picking up her daughter.
It's just outrageous. It's just outrageous. It's just it's coming to the point, and it has come to the point where these criminals who are perpetrating these crimes need to be brought to justice.
Oh, it's beyond that point. Oh, it's way beyond that point, Sue. Yeah. We're way beyond that point. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We'll take a quick commercial break, and we come back on the other side. We'll pick right back up, and we'll talk about Fourth Angels Message Ministry, and tell us about that. I know you're a person that seems to have a heart for the Lord, and you're a Christian, and we haven't heard of Fourth Angels Message Ministry before today, so we want to give you an opportunity to talk about that on the other side of the break. We are going to take a quick break here on the show, folks, and you can. Well, Sue, I'll tell you before we go to break. Do you have any websites that you want to give out besides the MikeParsons.org? Do you have any websites or any Facebook pages or YouTube channels or anything like that you want to give out before we go ahead and take a break?
Well, I was just going to inform your listeners that if anybody wants to help Mike and his wife, we are able to help them hopefully with their legal battles at paypal.com/PayPal me/the CNC. And so that's something that I would like people to be able to know that, we are looking to try to get justice for Mike Parsons and his wife as well, because they have been unjustly incarcerated for so many years, just to stop them from helping children. We are asking the public to help us, to help Mike, so that Mike could continue his work in helping children.
So can they find that link? I'm looking here on mikeparsons.org. Is there a link to the PayPal thing there where people can support them, or is there a different link to that, or is that what you have? Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a different link that has just been recently set up for them.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and give that out once more time, that PayPal account out one more time slowly, if you don't mind, for the folks so they can write it down. So grab a pen and a piece of paper, folks, if you're listening in and you want to support Mike. It sounds like he is a whistleblower in a sense, where he's kind of going and exposing the criminality of the government, which we know is immense, and they're attacking him and put him in jail, him and his wife both. So why don't you go ahead and give that out again, Sue, if you don't mind.
It's paypal.com/PayPal me/the CNC.
Okay, paypal.com/PayPal me/CNC.
The CNC.
The CNC.
Yes.
Okay, folks, the only way that we're going to get through this is we're all going to have to get through this together, and we have to support people. If you can't get out and take the fight to these folks yourself, and some people can't, then you should at least support those that are trying to do that, because it's, folks, it's not us against us. It's not, even though they want to portray that, they want to keep that conflict going. So we're fighting amongst ourselves, and in fighting, that's not who our enemy is. Our enemy is the establishment and the people that are trying to take over this country and subject us all to slavery or death. I think either one would be okay with them. So we're going to take a quick commercial break here, and we come back on the other side. We're going to pick back up with Sue Holland, and we'll talk about Fourth Angels Message Ministry, and we can continue for the rest of the broadcast after that, talking about Mike and helping encourage people to give him support. So we're going to go ahead and put your mic one more time on mute here, Sue, and when we get back, I'll ask you to get unmuted again. And we'll be back, folks, after these brief messages here. If you want to support this show, you can go to MontanaGazetteRadio.com, MontanaGazetteRadio.com, and you can actually listen to the show live on that page through the Blog Talk Radio. Today, I don't believe we're going to be taking calls, but there are going to be times coming up here soon. We're going to have the phones open, and we'll have legislators on the show here, and you can call in. But please stick around with us. We'll be back after these brief messages here on Montana Gazette Radio. I'm your host, James White. If you like classic cars, exceptional service, and a money-back guarantee, then the Corner Shop in beautiful downtown Kalispell is the place for you. Whether it's an oil change, engine diagnostic, suspension work, or brakes all around, the Corner Shop has you covered. With expert technicians and a free consultation on all services, you can't go wrong with the Corner Shop. Did I mention the classic cars? While you're waiting for your expert service to be performed, take a stroll through the showroom to see Kalispell's smoothest collection of classic cars. The Corner Shop is conveniently located at 1212 South Main, just south of the courthouse. The Corner Shop is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m., so drop by for an appointment or call 755-7777. That's 755-7777. The Corner Shop, Kalispell's full-service auto repair facility. Hi, this video is brought to you by PatriotPrepared.com, where right now you can save $250 on each large package purchase, plus get free shipping to the continental United States. In these troubled times, it's not a bad idea to have some extra food storage available, and you can save big at Patriot Prepared right now. Go to PatriotPrepared.com, that's PatriotPrepared.com, and use the code TRUMP250 at checkout to receive your savings today. Okay, folks, thanks for hanging out with us after the break. We do appreciate that. This is not fear-mongering, but the fact of the matter is food prices are going to be going up. They're going to be skyrocketing. I mean, you see what's even happened here with this boat that has lodged into the canal. Apparently that got released last night or earlier today. But I mean, it's just you can't print trillions and trillions of dollars and flood the economy with it and not expect things to go up. So right now is a great time to get some storable food and get some food security. If you haven't done so, you can go to patriotprepared.com. You can check out all the selection of what we have there. You can also right now we have large food purchases. We have nice specials going on with that, plus free shipping. Water filtration. If you're looking for water filtration, we have that there as well. Seeds. So just check it out at patriotprepared.com, and everything that you purchase there on patriotprepared.com directly benefits this show. It's probably the best way you can support us directly is because that's the website that I own and this show owns, and you can certainly help us that way, and we do appreciate it, and we're supported totally by you, the listeners. So we do appreciate that support. Of course, you can always go to the flagship Northwest Liberty News and support us that way. And if you want to visit the #1 online news website in Montana, you can go to montanadailygazette.com. And thanks so much for hanging around again after the break. We're going to be joining Sue Holland here. We'll bring her back on right now, and we'll take her off mute. There you go, Sue. Sue, thanks for hanging out with us after the break. We really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show with us today.
Thank you again, James. I appreciate it so much. Yes, the Fourth Angels Message Ministry is a ministry that I have been involved with for many years. It's my own personal ministry. It started with trying to help the poor, and that's how I started it, because I have a huge burden to help those who are less fortunate. And so that's how it started. It's based, it's a biblical based ministry. And so I just love to share the word and the truth as to what's going on in this world. And so that's just something that we have tried to start up again. In the day and age that we're living in, I believe the truth needs to be shouted from the mountaintops, as it were. Just like in Revelation 18:1, it says, the loud cry of the fourth angel will be happening before Jesus comes again. And so people like yourself are doing that very work, and you're shouting from the mountaintops. You're saying the truth, and I do appreciate your ministry, James, so much. Thank you so much for that. And so with respect to the children, I would like to share a Bible verse today from the Fourth Angels Message Ministry. This is taken from Matthew chapter 18, verses 2-6. And Jesus called a little child unto him, and set him in the midst of them, and said, Verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoso shall receive one such little child in my name receiveth me. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depths of the sea. Speaking of ocean liners, but that just tells me God's great heart for children. He has a huge love for children, and we should too. If we are following Christ, we will have a great heart for children, especially those children who are being abused, being oppressed. We need to speak out for them. We need to be their voice when they have no voice. That's what I believe God expects us to do. And certainly that's something that Mike Parsons has been doing.
Well, here's another thing, Sue, if I can interject. Here's what we need, that aside, what you just stated aside. If men in this country would be men and do what they're supposed to and take care of women and children, your country, my country, all countries, it doesn't change the fact that a man has a responsibility to take care of the women and children and the less fortunate, the infirm, the disabled. I mean, that's what men do. That's what I would suggest to you. One of the very purposes of our existence on this whole entire planet is men should be men and protect the weaker races and their I say sexes, the women, children, that type of thing. That's what I think a man should do. What happened to these men? Where are these men? They're running behind their rainbow flag and they're going to their safe space. And that's why, in my view, it's one of the reasons that we're having such turmoil in all of these nations is because men have shirked their responsibility to be men. Do you have any comment on that, Sue?
I agree. I think that the system is trying to demasculate our men. They're trying to demoralize and distract men from being a real man, and not only that, they are being shamed for being men so many times. So all of our men should not be ashamed to be real men. They need to stand up for the truth and what's right, and to stand up for those who God has given into their care. So thank you for that, James. I appreciate that. And again, that's what Mike Parsons has always done. He has always stood for those who needed a voice, spoke the truth, no matter what the consequences to him were. And that's why I am asking your listeners today to please help Mike today. So what happened in Mike's case is that in September of 2020, the bogus charges that they most recently charged him with were dropped. So in essence, what happened was the 40 months that he was incarcerated were dead time, or they were time and a half, because he was incarcerated for all that length of time without real charges. So once the charges were dropped, they should have immediately released him from jail, but they had brought new charges against him. However, he was eligible for parole in September of 2020. So he is sitting in jail today, and I really want your listeners to understand, this man is sitting in a jail without proper legal authority whatsoever. He should have been out on parole in September. He cannot access his legal materials. The jails have prevented him from obtaining his legal materials because they keep moving him around, and they will not provide him his legal materials, so he can't even help himself most of the time. He needs someone to advocate for him on a legal level. If there's a lawyer out there, an attorney out there who has a heart to help those who are helping others, please get in contact with me or with James, because or with Mike Parsons, who is sitting in the Memphis Correctional Institute in Memphis, Tennessee. Please get a hold of him and just try to help affect his release, because he should be out on parole. They're playing all these kind of mind games, and injustices are occurring without any repercussions against the perpetrators of these crimes. So I'm just asking that if there's anybody in the United States who can help Mike Parsons and his wife, now would be a good time, because he is absolutely eligible for parole, and yet he's still sitting in a jail. I don't even believe he has had a parole hearing, even though he's eligible to be released even.
Sue,
So
let me ask you a question, Sue. What would happen if you went into a Walmart and the Walmart manager came up and locked you in a cage or detained you, or you went to McDonald's to have a hamburger and they grabbed you and threw you into Playland and locked the door and wouldn't let you out? That would be considered kidnapping and false imprisonment. Would you agree?
absolutely is
Okay,
what.
let me finish this thought for a second here. So I see here on this sheet right here where it says, this page, where it says Mike was returned to the state of Tennessee Corporation's prison. So the prison system in Tennessee is a corporation. It's a prison corporation. Are you familiar with the Clearfield Doctrine, the 1942 Supreme Court ruling that is still law today, that says any entity that adopts a status of a corporation has no more power than any other corporation? This is a 1942 Supreme Court, the Clearfield Doctrine. I've confirmed this with multiple sources. It still is case law, and it still is standing law in this country. So if the prison system adopts a corporate status, they have no more power to hold anybody behind bars than Walmart would, or McDonald's would, or Kroger would, Kroger Corporation. This is the fact of law. This is the fact of the matter, and I challenge anyone listening to this broadcast to put that up against the factual test, and you'll see that what I'm telling you is absolutely the truth. This whole thing is a fraud, Sue. It's all a crime. It's all a mafia, a criminal mafia that has put itself sort of over the top of the citizenry, and they are just they're imprisoning us, they're fining us, they're regulating us, they're saying we have to wear masks, they want to force inject us. None of this is lawful. Legal, because they say it's in the code. They may say it's legal. None of it's lawful according to the Constitution. It's pathetic how far away we've went in this country to constitutional principles. And again, folks, lastly, before I take it back to Sue, you don't get your Constitution doesn't give you your rights. You have a God-given right to protect yourself, protect your family, self-defense, breathe fresh air. The government doesn't give you the right to do these things. These are God-given rights. The Constitution, all it does is just enumerates that contract, or it just displays what's already factual, is that you have a right to protect yourself. The Constitution just supports the God-given rights that you have already. Sorry, Sue, I got off on a little tangent there. Over to you.
Thank you. And I absolutely amen that wholeheartedly. That is so true. What is happening with these terrorist organizations, I call them, they're really terrorist governments. They terrorize the people. They have unlimited power, unlimited resources. They print their own money. That's something that people would go to jail for if they just printed money out of thin air. However, that's what they do.
Counterfeiting. It's called counterfeiting.
Correct. So, it's just amazing to me that we are just as a majority of citizens are just taking it and not standing up for it. I like the example of India with Mahatma Gandhi, who led a peaceful revolution, and they won their independence. They won their sovereignty. All we have to do is just stop doing what we're doing. Stop, paying taxes. Stop, going to our jobs or whatever.
Just don't comply. Like I've said on this show numerous times, Sue, sorry to interrupt you. We don't have to grab baseball bats and tire irons and grab our assault weapons and go out there and crazy. No, we don't have to do any of that. No violence has to be perpetrated. All we have to do is say, we're not putting up with it anymore. We're not going to comply. We're not going to listen to you. If everybody en masse said, We're not going to wear these masks anymore because we want to breathe fresh air. You think they're going to arrest 300 million people and put them all in jail? I mean, come on, it's not going to happen, folks. We've got the numbers. There's under 10,000 of these scoundrel cretins that are in the world, and they're controlling the other, 7 billion of us through. Well, this time around, it's trauma-based mind control, which is what they use with the mask. They run programs on us. This is a scientific dictatorship. These people just don't happen to have this mask thing come out. Oh, all of a sudden it benefits them, and the wealthy increase their wealth by I don't know how many percent, while the average middle-class business owner loses their businesses, right? This isn't done by accident, folks. This is all done by design, okay? It all starts up here. This is where the whole entire war is, right here between your ears. That's where it's all being fought, up here. You just have to break that conditioning, and then we can be free. We're already free. We have given up our freedom to other adults and letting them tell us what to do and make laws for us that we don't even need. I mean, like I said, I'm on a tangent here today. I'm on a soapbox. I'm sorry about that, taking your time, but this stuff just frustrates the heck out of me. That people it's like their vision's clouded. It's like they've been given over to the lie. It's like they can't process the truth because they've been so snookered. And it's just like, break the conditioning, folks. You got to break it. We're so close. We're so close to taking our lives back. I mean, we're right there. And they know that, too. That's why they're pushing so hard. The vaccine, now the vaccine passports and all that's about to come in. That's the next wave. That's 2021, folks. You better get ready for it. Vaccine passports and limited travel and ability for you to do things without being vaccinated. That's coming next. And the only way it's going to stop is if we say no. Sorry, Sue. Go ahead.
Exactly. It's just that simple, James. All we have to do is, like you say, stop consenting. We cannot continue to consent to our own murder, to our own demise. And we need to be there for each other when, this corrupt corporation is taking powers that are not lawful for them to have. We need to stand up and say no. We need to stand in front of the jail where Mike and his wife are and say, we're not leaving here until justice is had. It's that kind of thing. And we don't need to have a violent protest. Like you say, there's no need for any violence to ever occur. We just need to take back our freedoms, our rights, and we need to stop consenting to a minority who is perpetrating crimes upon we the people. And so the atrocities that are happening to Mike and his wife are just the beginning of what's now happening to everybody. Like you say, those vaccines are nothing but lethal injections. Everybody who will take them will succumb to the latency period, which will alter their genome, according to the scientists and the doctors out there who have studied these things. We need to listen to those people who are telling us the truth. We need to stop listening to the liars and start listening to those people who have the truth, who know the truth, who are asking us to just say no and to stop consenting to our own demise.
Sue, we're coming here towards the end of the interview, and before we close it down, I want to give you a chance once again. First of all, I want to thank you so much for coming here on the show today and
thank you for having me.
You're welcome, and defending your friend Mike. It's there's not many friends that would do that, and I'm sure that Mike and his wife appreciate that. So one more time, if you could, before we end the interview, if you could go ahead and give out any websites that you have. Mike's website, I can give you guys that right now. It's Mike Parsons, just like it sounds, parsons.org. MikeParsons.org is his website. You can get the background information on that. Matter of fact, I can bring it up here again real quick. You can get a lot of background information and kind of get a better perspective on what's going on with Mike at MikeParsons.org. And I know there's other websites that you have and other PayPal link that I'm going to go ahead and give you a chance to give that out once again for us, Sue.
Yes, it's PayPal patreon.com/PayPal me/the CNC. If anybody has a heart to support financially, we're asking for support for them through your prayers, through advocacy, through any legal means that anybody can donate their help with that. We appreciate that. Any support with respect to just getting their story out, the truth, and not from the slander that's out there, but the actual truth. And certainly that is found on mikeparsons.org website, as well as other truther websites. And so we just ask that people support by sending them letters to the jail and supporting and encouraging them, and just helping them to obtain justice, because they are being held as political prisoners right now.
No, that's a common theme these days. I mean, if they can't shut you up, they lock you up, and that's just how they roll.
Yeah.
And we have to stop that. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing every day, and you're doing what you're doing, is because, folks, I mean, it's not for the people on the front lines that they haven't overcome us already. There's only two things that have stopped them from taking us over completely are A, patriots, and the fact B, that we have firearms still. I mean, if they take out both of those elements, we're done, folks. I mean, I won't be here, but those who are left will be done. We'll be done. Yes. Anyway, Sue, we appreciate you coming here today on the show. Thanks so much for taking your valuable time. Again, mikeparsons.org, mikeparsons.org. And want to thank Sue Holland from Fourth Angels Message Ministry. Keep up your great work, Sue, and let us know what goes on. Reach out to me in the future and let me know what goes on.
Thank you so much for having me. God bless you all.
You're quite welcome. God bless you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, there goes Sue Holland. We do appreciate her being here on the show today. Thanks so much for tuning into this broadcast. We, of course, always appreciate your support. Please pass the video around. They've crushed my main YouTube channel. And pretty much, it'll probably be gone. What they'll do is they'll come out and hit me with another strike. I'm sure after the current probation period ends, they'll probably not too long after that find some other cock and maybe reason to kick me off, and then I'll be gone for good from YouTube. So let's hope that doesn't happen, but outlook isn't looking good. Before I end the show here, I want to hit something here on the Montana Daily Gazette, and a couple of stories here that I want to talk about, if I can. A couple of interviews that I've done recently that you can check out. And again, you can get this show now. You can listen to it live on Montana Daily Gazette by going to the Montana Gazette radio link on Montana Daily Gazette, or you can just type in montanagazetteradio.com. That's montanagazetteradio.com, and it takes you right to the Montana Gazette radio page on the Montana Daily Gazette, and you can listen to, as I said, you can listen to these broadcasts live right there. So if it's on your, if you're on your phone, or if you're making breakfast or whatever you're doing, you can just turn it on the Montana Daily Gazette, put it on Montana Gazette Radio, I should say, .com. You can listen to the show live there. Okay, so let's check this out here. This is a couple of articles or a couple of interviews that I've done recently here. This is regarding and this is Silicon Valley here, and this is regarding I call them the Brain Trust that put together this latest SB 391. Teresa Manzella introduced this bill, and this is again another chance for the citizens of Montana to get big tech out of their lives and get big tech to stop censoring us. So what I've done here on this article is I've broken down the full interview into smaller parts, and they're 2 or 3 minutes. I think one of the longest one's 5 minutes. But you can go here to this article on Montana Daily Gazette, and you can listen to as many of these interviews as you'd like to, and get sort of a background on what's going on. You can go to the page where the bill is and check all that out over on montanadailygazette.com. It should be one of the top stories there on the page. And the other interview that I've done recently and and released. It's it's a shocker, folks. It's a shocker what goes on. But it's true, and it has to be reported, even though it's uncomfortable. Cheryl Beck was in town over the weekend, and she's a survivor of satanic ritualistic abuse. She is genuine. She's legitimate. I've interviewed her before. I've known Cheryl for a couple of years now, talked to her numerous times. And just to give you an idea, here's the editor's note. The following article is disturbing and graphic, as is the video link below the text. If you are an abuse survivor, please proceed with caution if you choose to continue. Now, this is not the type of stuff that I like to put out, folks. This is not stuff that I enjoy reporting on. Okay, who does? Who would? Who? Anybody that had a heart and a soul would look forward to or enjoy doing that. I don't. However, the amount of abuse that's going on with children is voluminous, and it goes on still to this day. So as I stated in the previous interview, it's my view that men, if they are to fulfill their role as men, whether you call it biblical, whether you call it societal, whatever you want to call it, if men would fulfill their role as men and protect women and children, these things would not go on. There would not be these child protective services kidnapping kids. There would not be all these things, these tunnels, all this stuff that goes on. None of this would be going on if men would stand up and be men. So that's my call to you men out there. I'm urging you. I'm urging you to, simply enough, be a man. Be a man until it's no longer legal for you to use the term man without getting either kicked off social media or perhaps put in prison. And you say, oh, come on, man. They're not going to throw you in prison for using the term man. Oh, they won't, huh? Really? If you think that's not possible, then I think you may be part bear, because you've been hibernating in a cave for the last, 5 years, I guess. Because yes, I think that it will be hate speech eventually to call a man and a woman. That's coming next. You can mark it down. It's going to be hate speech for you to use the term man and woman in the future. I don't know how long, but that's coming. So the only way to stop that, folks, is to stand up and say, we're not going to put up with these shenanigans anymore. And that's up to you and me and the rest of us. So I encourage you to step up and stand up and fight the tyranny, because it's us. It's not, as you stated before, Donald Trump. Forget about that. That ship has sailed. He's not going to ride in and save us and protect us or anything like that. Not going to happen, right? And I've stated this a long, long time ago, and even before the election and months I've been stating, the person that needs to be activated is you, the person you look in the mirror. That is who is going to stop this. Don't count on outside forces to do your work for you. And don't count on them to be able to safeguard your liberties, because both of those options are losing endeavors. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the broadcast. We're just running out of time. You can support us again by going to MontanaGazetteRadio.com. That's MontanaGazetteRadio.com. Or you can support us at the flagship Northwest Liberty News. And folks, we do need your support on the show. We are supported totally by you. So if you go to northwestlibertynews.com, click on the Support Independent News button, and donate generously if you can to keep this station going. We do appreciate your time again. Thanks for looking in. We thank our guest Sue Holland for being here. Mike Parsons.
90 seconds.
MikeParsons.org. And until next time, this is James White for Montana Gazette Radio, saying bye now.
Seconds.